So Savinelli, Scontros, and Pearl in 2018 looked at a different type of behavior, which is similar to the every not quantifier stuff we were just looking at, but now uses to in place of every, and is actually testing adults. Okay, so here is an example utterance. 2 kitties didn't jump on the bed. And the idea is, the quantifier to and the are the not are your quantifiers. So the surface scope is that there are 2 kitties, and both of these kitties did not jump on the bed, right? And the inverse one, and this one can be kind of tricky to get for adults especially, it's not the case, right? So we have our not first. It's not the case that 2 kitties jumped on the bed. Maybe 1 did, maybe none did, who cares? Maybe 3 did, who cares? But it's not 2, okay? Fine. So these are the 2 readings, the surface and the inverse. And okay, so let's now look at a sample scenario. Look, 2 kitties, right? Okay. One of them jumped on the bed and the other didn't make it. Oh, sad gray kitty and happy black kitty. Okay, great. So Mussolino and Lids asked adults, is an okay thing to say this? Would you endorse this utterance? 2 kitties didn't jump on the bed. And most adults were kind of unhappy with this. Only about 27.5% endorsement of this. They didn't like it. And again, the idea is that this is very similar to the every not scenario, is that the surface interpretation is false. There are 2 and both didn't, and that's false because this one did, right? But the inverse is true. It's not the case that 2 did. It's true, only 1 did, right? 2 kitties didn't jump in the bed, only 1 did, right? So the surface is false, the inverse is true, and adults don't like to endorse it. Okay, right? So that's a 1 out of 2 context. Now, here's another scenario. We have 4 kitties, ooh, great. And 2 of them jumped on the bed, and the other 2 didn't make it. Oh, sad. Okay. So now, how do you feel about it? 2 kitties didn't jump on the bed. And adults love this, right? And in fact, we see the opposite pattern of interpretation. The surface interpretation is true. There are 2 and both didn't. In that case, kitty 1 and kitty 2 didn't, right? And the inverse is false. It's not the case that 2 kitties did. That's false because kitties 3 and 4 sure did, right? So opposite pattern, and now adults love it, okay? So and that's a 2 out of 4 context. So in a 1 out of 2 context, surface is false, inverse is true, adults down at 27.5%. In a 2 out of 4 context, the surface is true, but the inverse is false, now we're at 100%. Certainly looks like the grammatical factor of scope access seems to matter for adults, right? Because you're not really changing anything about the context. So adults, turns out, are also responsive to the explicit contrast that children were responsive to in the every not scenario. So 1 of 2 with an explicit contrast would look something like this. 2 kitties jumped on the table, but 2 kitties didn't jump on the bed. And now adults are like, oh yeah, that's okay. 2 kitties jumped on the table, but now I'm looking at this and I say 2 kitties didn't jump on the bed. Now I'm up here at 92.5% endorsement, right? So a real shift from when I have that explicit contrast and when I don't, even though nothing has really changed about which interpretation is false and which one is true. So, then we're left with the same questions. How can we tell what might be going on to explain this observable behavior? Is it the same thing that's happening with the kids? And that's the kind of thing that, again, is difficult to tell with a behavioral experiment, but is easier to manipulate inside a computational model.